So don't you just love advisors that write ROs like this, diagnose engine concern, running properly? So let's take a look. Oh yeah, I guess it's running so good that the customer thinks there's something wrong. No, I was joking. It's supposed to be a check engine light. Yeah, don't ask me why they write ROs like that. It's just advisors. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. But no engine light. I'm just gonna still scan it. But I do hear a bearing noise underneath the hood, and it sounds like one of the pulleys. So let me see if you can hear it on my crappy camera phone. So yeah, it looks like somebody's been doing an ignition coil swap and replaced one aftermarket one. You can see all the oil leaks where the valve cover is. You can hear that grrr noise down there. Oh, turn on the light. So it's either I just grabbed my long screwdriver, I guess, and just to hear the noise. I'm just using this guy, and I'm just touching the tensioner pulley. Okay, let me touch the rod, how noisy it is. I'm just touching the rod. You can hear how noisy that is. So I just put my ear on this thing, and that's what I hear. But you can hear how loud it is, just me touching the prop rod for the hood. And you can hear it. It sounds exactly the same. When I take it off, it goes away. Yeah. So my tensioner pulley is noisy. Didn't complain about it. It's something I just noticed. So yeah, while I was just like poking around, just listening for noise, the idler pulley is really loud, and then the alternator is loud, but not as loud as the idler pulley. So let's take a look. I'm gonna scan it for code, see what I see. Okay, so no engine light, but I do have a abnormal battery voltage. So I'm gonna check the alternator and see how it's what it's doing. So other than the engine light that it doesn't have, I didn't run it for very long, but you can see all the oil. You can see how wet it is. Same thing on this side too. So it's leaking. It's low on the dipstick, I checked, but you can see all that oil. It's coming from up top. Let's see if you can see it. The typical, you know, it's not the power steering pump because that reservoir is full. Yeah, I think it's that VTEC solenoid up there, and also that valve cover because it's leaking in the front of the engine. So yeah, just gonna do my inspection, see what it needs, and then yeah, ask about the engine light, if it actually has an engine light, or is this because the surface advisor doesn't know how to write the RO. Oh, so I was just looking where this oil was coming from, but if you look, it's running down the top of the transmission up there, and then if you go closer, right below the intake manifold. Oh, the camera is not that great and super zoomed in, but there's oil right where that bolt is for the intake manifold, and above that is the valve cover gasket. So we just might have a leaking valve cover gasket that's leaking all the way down here. I don't know. I feel like I get deja vu every time I see the same thing over and over again. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna take the wheels off, check the brakes. All right, so front brakes are still good. They're about 5 mil, plenty. But if you look at the rear drum brakes, they're getting. This is about 1 mil, so it could go for a little bit, but it's getting close. I just recommend it. Checked all the wheel cylinders, they're not leaking. Same thing on the other side. All right, so it's only a few days after. So the story with this car is, after getting the advisor to call the customer more than once, because the first time he went to ask the customer, he just asked the customer, like, what was it in for? And apparently it's misfiring, and he shut the car off and had it towed here, because of course when you got a flashing check engine light, you don't drive it. You make sure you tow it, because you can damage the catalytic converter that way. So that's what you're supposed to do. But I asked the advisor that, hey, what was he doing prior to it misfiring? And these are the questions that the advisor has to ask to help you in diagnostics. So you gotta ask the right questions. So I told the advisor, like, so what was it doing prior to it misfiring? the car sat, actually. It sat for a period of time. I can't remember what they do. Like my teacher told me this. They sit in the same spot. Same thing with your wheel bearings and, you know, anything with, you know, ball bearings, roller bearings. They sit for a period of time, and then, you know, you go for a drive and they're super noisy because they imprint into the bearing race, and when you start get everything going, it starts making noise, and that's why your alternator is noisy and your tensioner pulley is noisy. And it also does it with wheel bearings too. So if it sits for a period of time, you notice, you know, everything's super noisy when you're driving, especially, you know, anything with bearings. Yeah, they leave a little memory spot on the race of the ball bearings, and it starts making noise. So yeah, anyways, so we've got approved for the tensioner. So what I think, of course, what I think happened is misfiring because it sat for a period of time, especially when we have, you know, very humid and cold weather. Today is going to be actually -13. You get a little bit, you either get bad gas in the line, or you get some water at the bottom of the tank and it sucks it up, and, you know, you get a little misfire, and now it's running fine. So yeah, that's my theory, because there's no codes. It didn't go through a second drive cycle because he just shuts it right off because he saw it was flashing check engine light. And yeah, so that's what I think happened. But everything's running fine. So I just do an inspection, see what I find, and then recommend what I see, which is the oil leak, right? Valve cover, VTEC solenoid, the tensioner. Also recommended the alternator because that was also kind of noisy, but not as noisy as the tensioner, and the rear brakes. Yeah, valve cover gasket, VTEC solenoid, stuff that's, I think it's all just mostly repair. Oh yeah, and an oil change. I also recommend an oil change. It's been a while because it was sitting for a while. And those are already stuff that the customer wants to do. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to get right to it. And yeah. I mentioned this on your early 8th gen Civic. When you have a lot of valve cover leaks and you're wondering how is oil getting to your spark plug tubes because they're not part of the valve cover, such as this one. This one's a little wet, right? And let me show you inside, because the oil is actually leaking from this giant nut. So oil seeped into the this crush washer behind it, and it leaks into the spark plug tubes, and that's how you're getting oil in it, because there's no rubber gasket. So that answers some of your guys' questions on how my 8th gen Civic, well, actually the early 8th gen Civic, how am I getting oil in my spark plug tube, because there's no valve cover gasket seal or spark plug tube seals. It's actually the crush washer on this giant nut. So yeah, all you need is a 32mm socket, and I usually just snug them a little more. Sometimes these are actually just finger tight. You can just back them off by hand. So make sure you check that, make sure these are tight, and just give it a little bit of a snug. Okay, so I've got the valve cover gasket off, and this is what the gasket looks like. It's already breaking apart. Not even flexible anymore. But yeah, no wonder it's leaking. It doesn't look too bad under here. Looks like probably regular oil changes. Now, even with the valve cover off, it makes it even easier to get that VTEC solenoid off back there. Here's the VTEC solenoid gasket. It's flatter than a freshly machined cylinder head. You can't even look. You can't even see the gasket poking out. So make sure you notice your old gasket. There's a piece of chunk right there missing on the old gasket, and that is over here. Yeah, you're in an area where you can't really see anything, but on the corner, the flashlight is reflecting. But on that top corner, that piece of that gasket is still stuck there, right in front of my finger. So make sure you clean it off, because that can cause you to leak even with a new gasket. Oh, yeah, right there. See that top corner of that, right where my thumb is, right here. See, everything's all reversed. Yeah, so make sure you get that stuff off, or you're gonna leak even with the new gasket. Surface is all clean. I just put a couple of dabs of silicone there and then over there. I do a final cleaning of all the oil at the end, where I'm going to use a ton of brake clean, just soaking down everything. But I'm going to take the belt off and the tensioner, and then do the cleaning that way. That way it doesn't get the belt and everything wet. So if you guys are having trouble getting the
water pump bolts, or the water pump pulley bolts off the water pump pulley, and it slips on the belt, and you took the belt off. So what I do is you grab yourself an Allen, right? There are holes on the water pump pulley. You can stick in there, and then you just wedge it against the I guess that part down there, and then it just holds it in place, and you can just bust off your bolts. And then you can start busting the rest of them off. Then once you're done, you just, take it out. There we go. One last bolt on the bottom. Yeah, there you go. I loosened all the bolts. Now I can just pull that Allen key back out. Make sure I can get that last bolt there. There we go. Now all the water pump pulley bolts are off. So yeah, I just stick it in there. It'll push it up against to anything that's behind there, and then also hold the other end from rotating on that side.
Show you from down here. This is what I have in. So it's just an Allen. I just push it up all the way against something at the back with the Allen, and then it's just up against this part of the body of the car, right? That way I can bust off all the bolts. Same thing when you're done. You just go the opposite direction and then find something back there to hold it, right? And then you can tighten your bolts. That's what I do. It's a 7mm Allen. I think that's the biggest I can fit in there. Maybe a little bit, or maybe an 8 you can find. But this one works.
So the one thing I really hate about changing these tensioners is that one Allen bolt down there. That's where the pivot point is for the tensioner, and that bolt likes to corrode and get stuck in there. And I think that's what I'm struggling with right now, trying to crack that loose. So I've had that bolt snap in there. Yeah, no, I got a long breaker bar, and you can see how much it's flexing. I can't get it off. Damn it. So, yeah, I've snapped that before. See if I can get it out.
That ain't coming out. So what I'm talking about is this Allen sits inside a recessed sleeve, right? And what happens is it corrodes inside, and it just basically holds that in place, and it's not allowing you to break it free, that's what I'm having right now. And I'm gonna try using the oxyacetylene torch. I'm gonna heat around this thing and see if I can eventually crack that Allen loose, so I can change this tensioner.
Ow! I'm winning. Cracked it loose. Oh man. Yeah, make sure if you can't get that Allen and your whole ratchet's flexing, heat it up. It'll prevent you from either rounding the Allen head off, or snapping that bolt head off. Well, you snap it off, you can remove the tensioner. You just unthread the rest of that bolt. Yeah, good old oxyacetylene torch will help you get that Allen bolt out for that tensioner. Yeah, I just heated the this outer sleeve here, right? It's still kind of warm, so I'm gonna wait till that thing cools down a bit. I can get it out. Nope, still hot. So yeah, this thing sits in the sleeve. Ooh, toasty. Ah, yeah. So see all that corrosion on that bolt? Well, I'll show you once I get the entire bolt out. Can you spin this for me? Like, just spin it really fast. That's how noisy it is. Oh, you spin it better. Hold my phone. Okay, so this is how noisy the pulley is. That's super loud. Let me catch it on the camera. Here. That's how loud it is. So. Okay, so new tensioner is in. You can see that all the oil is all cleaned off on this side of the timing cover. But I still got the rest of this. I can do this later. Right, all this. But I just want to get everything clean so I can put the alternator pulleys and then the belt back on. And then I'll do more cleaning back there too. Yeah. And if you're wondering what alternator we're putting in, it's a Honda OEM one, brand new. Also, same with the tensioner. There's also an OEM tensioner as well. All right, so the rear brake shoes are all done. To be honest, these Honda brake shoes are pretty easy to do. But if you want to know how to, or if you want to see how to do them, leave a comment down below and let me know. Maybe I'll do a video on it. But to be honest, they're pretty easy to do. You just pull the shoes off this bracket down here, right? And that just takes tension off the spring. You just remove it. You can remove these spring clips on each side, right? And then once that's off, you just, pull them off the wheel cylinders and you can slide them out. Or I think it's this way because the parking brake shoe lever is on this side. So you just slide it out and you can remove all the springs off and then remove this. So it's pretty simple. But yeah, if you want to see it, let me know down in the comments. Right, so last thing on the menu is just the oil change. And after that, I'm just going to do a good cleaning of all this oil that's everywhere, and then just make sure that nothing else is leaking. All right, so I cleaned as much as I can, but everything up there looks pretty clean. Right, everything up there above the tranny that I saw before is all clean. Everything's still kind of dripping from all the leftover brake clean that I've been soaking it down with, and yeah, so it should be good. Oh yeah, everything's way quieter. All this smoke is just all the stuff that I cleaned off, all the residual oil and maybe some brake clean left over. So that's what all that smoke's coming off of. But yeah, super quiet now. Runs good. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Well, it looks like my floor is still dry, and this thing's been running for a while. Everything still looks nice and dry. The suffering looks nice and shiny because I gave it a wipe. I guess that's what is actually protecting it from rusting. But yeah, now it's running proper. Damn advisors.